got a great panel discussion coming your way. Our panelists are going to be discussing leaders' opinion, how customer centricity unleashes endless business success. I'd like you all to please put your hands together and make some noise as I welcome our moderator for the session, Aditya Sudhindranath, partner Deloitte India. A round of applause, please. So I request you to please take the seat on the end. And let's welcome our panelists. Alok, Rungta, Managing Director and CEO, Future Generali India Life Insurance. Rajesh, Jain, Managing Director and CEO, Lacoste. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Keep that applause coming. Sushant, CEO, Tata Starbucks. Gautam, Khanna, CEO, Hinduja Hospital. Sanjiv, Navangul, Managing Director and CEO, Bharat Serums and Vaccines Limited. Keep that applause going, ladies and gentlemen, for each of our panelists. And last but not the least, Kishore Tota, Director, Shopping Experience, Amazon. Sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Do we start? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, thank you everyone. And first of all, good morning. Good morning to our speakers and good morning everyone. I still see some people networking, so that's fantastic, right? It's a pleasure to be moderating all of you all here on this topic of customer centricity, which is, very, very close to me over the last 20 years. And what's intriguing is how now the discussion is moved from actually elevating the customer experience to driving business growth, right? And that's what the panel here is going to talk about over the next 40 odd minutes, right? But I think one of the key things when we talk about customer, and there's a famous quote which always comes into my mind from Sam Walton, who's the founder and former CEO of Walmart. He always said, there's only one boss, which is the customer. The customer can turn around an organization or pretty much fire everybody, only depending on where he or she spends the money. Right? So if you spend it on the company, probably the company turn around. If not, probably a competitor will turn around, right? I think that is the mindset of customer centricity which he had. I think it's flowing towards many organizations in the modern businesses across different industries we're going to talk through today. And I would like to engage all of you all today and understand genuinely in terms of how are you going to focus on customer centricity that extends just beyond the end customer, but also inculcates the whole ecosystem, right? Your stakeholders, your different partners, and everyone else that you work with, right? Now, staying with customer centricity and empathy, right? That's why I would like to bring you in, Mr. Gautam, in terms of your industry is highly empathetic, right? And needs to be that way because the way you're going to service your customer. And typically when a customer walks into a hospital, they're either very anxious, right? Or they're in a state of distress, right? So right from the time of admission to insurance, tests, and kind of exit, right? You need to bring in different aspects of customer experience and elevate that, right? Now, could you throw us some light in terms of generally from a healthcare industry, where is this customer experience coming in? What are the different focus areas that you are seeing?
Thank you. So firstly, in the healthcare, we don't call them customers because they are really not customers. They are coming out, they're not coming by choice. So they are coming because they have to. So one of the important things which you mentioned is that empathy is very important. So we have to understand the empathy and compassion is driving the delivery of the services first in a hospital, and I run a hospital. So, but we have to think about it when the patient is coming, and he rightly said, the patient and his family or the caregivers, they are all under stress. So how we can make the journey smooth. Of course, the doctor will be there, the nurse will be there, they will give the appropriate treatment and so on. So that clinical side is taken care of. But now, can I make for their before they enter the hospital? So what we have done is we have divided the patient journey into before the admission, during the stay, and post-discharge. So before the admission, for example, the moment something is confirmed, there is a automated message going to them saying that this is confirmed, that these are the things which you need to take care, these are the list of things which you need to get with you when you are coming to the hospital for a stay, these are the rules, so on and on, so that people are just prepared and then give them a time and couple of hours before their room is ready, there's a message which goes out that your room will be ready at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So don't come and wait here. So, these are small things which reduce anxiety among them. And then the staff has been trained to treat, they are not customers. We have had a tremendous experience and telling people that you have to treat all of them like family members. The moment you think that perspective, that they are not customers, they are like my family, everything changes. So they take care of them, they talk to them properly, and so on and on. So then, depending on, we also have some, everything is automated. You have people to help them and so on. But the important thing in this is, I'm going to take one more minute, is there is a patient and then there's a patient caretaker, the relative. The patient sometimes is asleep, patient doesn't know, but the relative is very anxious. And the anxiety of the relative is transferring onto the patient, and they are talking about the hospital and the doctor and the care and so on. So we take care of the relative also, including, what can be done, whether you have good seating spaces or, good eating and stuff like that. But we started something new. We started a live music recital. So we had a concert, live sitar, live sarod player from the lobby, which is being transmitted to all the rooms in all our hospitals. So the relatives, the patients, so that's an example. And then you celebrate small things for them. If it's a patient's birthday, anniversary, you celebrate that. So these are small things. But coming to what you, I think Aditya mentioned before, that how do we look at it? Patient, why a patient upset? Mostly, patient is upset because it takes too much time to leave the hospital, discharge time. Insurance takes too much time, sorry, Alok, but insurance takes too much time. And they are very anxious to leave the hospital. So what we have done, if you go to in any hospital, you will find near the TPA desk, the insurance desk, people are always crowding and fighting and saying that why is my insurance not come and why I'm not getting discharged and so on. Simple thing. What we've done is we've transferred our problem to the insurance company. We just put a screen saying that we sent it to so-and-so insurance company at 11:20 a.m. Approval awaited. So instead of fighting with me, they go fight with the insurance company. But at least they're quiet and sitting in the place. So they are not anxious enough. The other thing is you do check-in in the rooms. You do check-out closer to the rooms. Don't let them stand. So, small, very small things. And on app escalation of anything. In any hospital, and I was telling them before, hospital is like a patient who wants a hospitality of a hotel, which means it's a 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel, 3-star hotel, but they want it. So you have to take care of, all your escalations through one touch number for, AC and food, etc., etc. So there are lots of things are done in terms of training of people, in terms of digital intervention, in terms of, getting things on email. And one small thing is, how do I know what's my bill? So patient is getting anxious because it's been 4 days. How do I know? So every day at some time in the morning, you say, as of yesterday, your bill was so and so. So now all these, what we are trying to do is we are trying to reduce all the points which cause anxiety and stress and reduce it. And when you do all this, combined with a good behavior from the staff, it leads to good experience.
Thank you, and I'll definitely come to the insurance sector later. But then, sticking to the whole life sciences and healthcare, I think I'll bring you in here, Mr. Sanjiv. The pharma industry is unique in terms of emphasis on R&D, clinical trials, use of Gen AI now probably, and your distribution channels, right? And as a predominantly B2B2C, or even a B2B2B2C, right? What are the practical ways where you can really focus on customer centricity? Where do you see that action in customer centricity?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think let me start from where Gautam left on one point, is that for us to define a customer is a different thing. For me, he is a customer, doctor is a customer, but ultimate beneficiary is the patient. So the consumer is somebody else. So we have this dual nature, first of all, in our industry, that customer and consumer may be two different things. But the biggest change that has happened in our industry is that the journey of the patient to be a consumer has been very quick. So now the patient demands exactly the same thing as the consumer demands. It's no longer that the patient was a passive participant in any process. So that is the biggest change that has happened in the last 10 years or so. And it's better explained by an example. How much do pharmaceutical companies have to think about a customer? Let's take one part of business that we do. We are the largest supplier of medicines or hormones on fertility, probably in Asia. So now 1 out of 10 couples having a problem to have a child. It's a serious thing. It's a very complicated thing. It's very emotional. It has caused disruptions in families. It has broken families. It's a really, really disturbing story. Yeah. So then we have to work on all angles. One angle that we work on is in our research, we continuously try and do better and better and better in terms of trying to build better outcomes. For example, we are at the high end of technology where we have converted most fertility hormones into recombinant ones for safety. So that is one part of R&D that we do, and where we use latest technologies to ensure, while we build cell lines. Very complicated science, but we do use a lot of technology to do it. Now that's still customer centricity because it's ultimately delivering better outcomes. If you look down the line we help centers, fertility centers, to understand what can change. We also look at newer technologies, like we are now, working with companies globally on sperm identification. Better sperm identification means better results. So now that's part of our customer centricity, that how do you do that? The third part is that we see a lot of couples struggling to find money to pay for treatment. So then we work with microfinance companies to find a way to get them to the patients to say, okay, you can try this if this works for you. So all around, what you need to do is whenever you see a problem in healthcare, you need to find a way to solve problems that you can solve. What we cannot solve is treatment because that is left to the doctors. But helping everybody across to ensure better outcome is the only way patient centricity works in our industry. Ultimately, if a patient's outcomes are better, we have served everything to the customer. We don't need to look beyond that. Most of the times, because that patient is an invisible phenomenon in pharmaceutical industry, we don't understand that. So I remember in a previous company in J&J, what we had done is in our boardroom, we had put an empty chair with labeling as patient. So every meeting that we used to have in that room, there was an invisible person sitting there as patient. And we had told everyone, when you speak, as you finish, look at the chair and then stop, so that you're more conscious of what you do. So, in many ways, in R&D, we are looking at, selection of, like mini pool selection that we did for cell lines, completely using Gen AI.
Yeah.
We use Gen AI to ensure that so a process that should have taken 3 months took us 1 week.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's the speed at which technology is invading us, but helping ultimately the patient who we think as his outcomes or her outcomes as patient centricity.
Thank you, thank you. I think driving CX through partners is what I take away as a big thing, right? Now, shifting gears to business growth, right? Like to bring you in here, Mr. Alok. So the industry of insurance traditionally has been very rigid, right? And very defined plans and defined kind of an experience, right? With agent kind of a model. But now, over the last few years, especially from COVID and post that era, I think everything you can get with the click of a button, right? So how has this customer-centric growth kind of really spurred your kind of sector?
Yeah. Thanks, Aditya. See, in our industry, it was like in the past, a fixed menu available. Okay, while it was called as an option, but it was a fixed menu. And now customer wants buffet. That's how we look at it. Okay, we can't tell him what to eat. He will choose what he wants to eat. So while there is a very old cliche, treat the customer the way you want to get treated. But this you is not an individual now anymore, right? Everybody is unique, right? So personalization has become a big part of our business. How do I cater a solution to a customer based on his need is also the name of the game in financial services. And I'm just broad basing it to financial services because it's not about only about insurance. I'm sure it's mostly for all the industries. And unless we understand the customer aspect, right, of who is he and what he wants and what he's looking for, right, those solutions are not then made. And that's where the movement has happened. And you're right, for, the digital era is something like, it's like a transformative power which has been given to us to make it a success, because now we can reach the customer very easy in terms of solutions also. We don't need to restrict ourselves to the brick and mortar, which was hallmark of our industries. And, you need to have mandatory and insurance human interaction to begin with. Though we still believe there is a lot of value, the fact that we all are sitting here and having this interaction, there is a lot of human value in that. But the point is, people want to know first. They need information. So awareness, information, there are a lot of these stages where digital has played a big role. And obviously the decision-making power is the customer. Right? See, we are not in consumption business, contrary to our partners here, or we are in a business where the customer is either investing his money or he's looking at a service which is long tail. It becomes more important for us to have this approach, because the engagement with the customer could be for 10 years, 15 years. The engagement will go for multiple years. Yeah. And unless we have that approach of how do we keep him engaged with us in a manner that the experience to him is better, you always have a choice today. Every customer has a choice. They can move on. So in a long tail business, especially knowing these things, that's what we have been trying to evolve as an industry, that how do we offer products which are innovative, personalize them, even from a service perspective. We keep on talking about digital, online sales and all that. But a lot of time the orientation is missed that the customer is also digital now. It's not about the means of acquisitions are digital. Now, if it's a digital customer, he also wants to be treated and serviced digitally, right? Look at the service industry, and I'm giving an example of banking. How many of us would have gone to bank, and how many of us like to go to a bank now? There could be reasons and occasion we have to go to bank, but we are not really happy going to the bank, right? We want everything on the click. Similar things have happened in our industry also, and that has actually given us growth. We have reached to those markets and those places and those segments. Maybe we were not there because their orientation was not there. That awareness was not there. See, contrary to other industries, we have been a 2-decade industry in that sense that it has opened, right? But if you look at the phenomenal growth which has happened in the last 2 decades, and also mostly after digital, it's only because we have now tools, we have now means to understand every interaction we have with the customer, right? Every touch point, like we were discussing offline, it's Omni stuff, which is one part of it. But it's not about Omni, right? It's about, do you have a 360 view of customer, right? So discussion is, if someone has interacted with a customer in some part of the country, and the interaction is carried forward someone else, how do you have the continuity of interaction, right? And that could be a buying or a selling. In our case, it's both important, correct, right? So I think these things have really helped us once you get into the mode of personalization and identifying your customer. And literally in the broad sense, it's a customer, not only your customer, because everyone is unique. Yeah. I think that has moved the industry a lot. And you see new innovations, new product solutions, right? Like Gautam was rightly mentioning. For us, when you sell a health product, for example, that's the biggest moment of truth. A customer is emotionally, financially down if he has to go to an hospital, he or she has to go to an hospital, right? And that exit experience defines our solution there, correct, right? Now, yes, that is where we work with partners to say, okay, once the doctor tells the customer, you are ready to go home, the entire excitement for the customer and the family, the caretaker and the caregiver, what we're talking about, is, boss, I have to. And now he doesn't care how much time it takes because of hospital or TPA. His attitude is very simple. I have a policy. I need to go immediately. The doctor has said, yes, you are ready to go. And so for us, the time experience starts from the moment the doctor says go. Short window. Right? Obviously, TPA is one part of it. Yeah. And that's where partners are important in that experience as well, like you started. Yeah. We have to look at a complete chain. That's what we keep on talking to our partners and measure, that how much time it takes once a customer is told you go home to actually leave the hospital. Right? And Gautam, I'll give an example. I was recently in a hospital, unfortunately, with my father. They had a customer exit support system where a guy comes, your doctor has said at 10:30, you can go home, and digitally he's giving me an update. This is where your paper is. This is where your billing is. He made me a commitment. And I'm taking my experience. We talk about generally other दूसरों का experience. कि boss, 1.5 hours will take. First of all, that expectation setting is done. Right? Till that time, I will get your papers to the TPA. Now, as you said, can you manage your TPA? But that for me is an end-to-end thing. Right? But he started the clock there. And I think that's where the business is evolving. Everyone has to be treated as an individual, unique personality, persona, profile, whatever we call it in our business, where consumption is happening. And that's where the market is evolved and we have seen sub-patterns grow. See, for last 20 years, industry has grown at least CAGR of at least 12 to 15%. And believe we have not even reached the peak at all, right? We are at half the percent of penetration what the global markets are. So there is a long way to go and can only happen if this kind of approach is there. And that's the growth is come from.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now, sticking with growth, I think I was doing some research before this, and I saw an article which was about 10 years ago by Mr. Rajesh, and it read, the title of the article was, let me quote it here, top line, bottom line, growth, customer delight, and human resource. Everything else is merely incidental, right? So that clearly shows, Lacoste's approach to focus on customer delight, but at the same time, link it to like being a catalyst for your growth, right? So what has helped you catapult and kind of grow in the market?
Sure, thank you. Good morning, friends. My name is Rajesh Jain. I work for an international premium lifestyle brand. The name is Lacoste. So to answer your question, see, so these 5 things that you have quoted, I call them 5 pillars of retail business. And I'll tell you how. The profitability, the top line, the bottom line, and growth. These 3 things are pretty much dependent upon customer delight. As you rightly said in the beginning, that unless until the customer comes to you, they can just shut down your business. So these 3 things are pretty much related to the customer delight. The 4th pillar that I call is talent development or human resource development. Even if you have a very great team, they're very dedicated, they're very committed. But if we are not able to bring that customer delight, it's of no use. So the end objective, the end aim is the customer delight. All the 4 pillars work towards customer delight, and that in turn brings the other 4 pillars up to the level where you need them. Now, how do we do it? So first of all, we are talking about the customer delight, but who is that customer? I'm very happy to be on this panel today because under normal circumstances, I go to several panels where most people are from retail background, where the customer obviously is the boss, is the god actually, not even the boss or the king. Our customer for us is the god. But in this panel, I see that we come from different backgrounds, but end of the day, most of us, or all of us practically, are from B2C business, except for you, maybe Sanjiv, where B2B2C is there. And I'm very happy to see this, that for all of us, customer is the centricity, the central point. But who is this customer? The customer actually is the same for all of us. We all are customers for each others. Now, what happens to this customer? This customer, what we have seen has been evolving consistently. Their preferences are changing consistently, and in the past 1 decade, the pace of this evolution and the pace of changing the preferences for these customers have significantly taken a very big speed. In fashion industry, it becomes more accentuated, more pronounced, because in fashion, you need a lot of new changes every now and then. How we handle it, of course, you have to keep changing your thought process, you have to keep changing how to reach out to the customer. But we internally have sort of tried to zero down on 3 basic points. We call them 3 C's. How to reach out to the customer, how to ensure that the customer delight comes in. And these 3 C's are collection, convenience, and care. When I talk of collection, the customer, as I said, has been evolving consistently. They need innovation. They need new products. They need new fabrics. If it's a garment, or if it's, let's say, a sneaker or a bag, leather goods also, they need new designs there. So we ensure that we bring innovation every now and then. Of course, in fashion industry, you have to launch new products every season. But within that season also you have to bring sub launches so that the customer gets that freshness and they want to come to you again and again. Now, within that collection also, today's consumer, if we look at them, they want more than this innovation also. What they are looking for is, the second part is convenience. So from collection, if I switch to convenience for the time being, today's customer wants convenience, whether it is a Gen Z consumer or millennial or even, let's say, baby boomers or other customers, they want convenience. They want shopping anytime, anywhere. Shopping is not an exercise where they have to take out time specifically and go out and do the shopping. Shopping is part of the normal life. They want to shop when they're in the office or at their home or maybe in their cars. The retailers or the brands, they have to ensure that convenience is available to the customers everywhere. Whether the customer visits their physical stores, they should get a great experience when they enter the store. They should have a great customer service so that they feel better. And even if they go online, they should get, for a brand like us, they should get a premium experience. And they should be able to get a great UI, UX experience, etc. This is about the convenience part. And of course, we are doing a lot on that also. The third and new thing that is catching up globally, and it's also coming to India, although the number is not so large in India as we speak today, is care. The customer feels very empowered, very positive when they feel that they're buying a product or they're taking a product which is contributing to the environment. This is where several customers in India also are moving. They feel very happy when they buy these kind of products. We are very happy that we are using a lot of those kind of fabrics or yarn, which is either recycled or recyclable. We are using a lot of organic yarn. We are working a lot on extending the lifespan of our products. We are ensuring that the end of life of the product is not converted in the form of energy. We don't scrap our products to burn them. We ensure that we regenerate from that product either textile to textile or textile to yarn so that it can contribute more towards the environment.
Right.
These three C's put together have contributed a lot in our customer delight journey. And we are very, very happy that the customers, they keep coming back to us once they use our products.
Thank you. I think care and convenience is definitely a takeaway across all sectors, which we can definitely apply, right? Now, we've spoken about growth. We've spoken about, empathy. I think moving down the customer life cycle, if you look at excellence and loyalty, that's where, Sushant, I would like to bring you in. Starbucks has always kind of, been a pioneer in offering best-in-class physical as well as digital experience, right? How are you ensuring this is very seamless and integrated? And for you, loyalty is very important, given in the niche world that you operate in, right? So how are you kind of tying all this together?
Right. So thanks. To begin with, maybe let me give you an idea in terms of what is the experience that we first provide in the physical space, so that then I can tell you how we provide it in the digital space and how do we try to do it seamlessly. I think it's still a journey. I don't think we still do it seamlessly, but I think it's something that all of us will reach at some point of time. So what do we do at a store? What is Starbucks all about? I think Howard, who founded the company, said it best. People come to Starbucks for the coffee, but they stay back for the connection. So for us, it's always been about the experience that we give at the store. And the experience comes because of 3 or 4 important factors. The first thing, in many, when you go to a QSR or even when you go to many of the restaurants, you are actually a token number or you are a table number. Yeah. The first thing for us is that you are a person. So if you go to a Starbucks, they ask you for your name. And they write your name in your mug, which comes with its own set of memes. But the fact is that we want to know you as a person. And that's the first connection that you make. And that's what results in an experience. The whole idea is about human connections. So that is where it starts. There are various touch points that you come across during your journey in terms of getting your beverage, in terms of personalization, in terms of the taste preferences, because each consumer, each person is unique. And that is what we try to do in terms of giving that experience. So one is the product. The second is in terms of innovation. And when we say innovation, it is not just about innovation for the sake of innovation, but innovation uh, that is important for that consumer or the consumer in a market. Mainly for a global brand, it becomes very important to ensure that you have local empathy and understand the local tastes and preferences if you want to give the right experience, while keeping at the core what the brand is known for, maybe the coffee or the international coffees. But you also need to do, for example, the Indian palate is very different from the palate of a European or the American. So what I give in my store becomes important in terms of the experience. So innovation is another pillar of what we give in terms of the experience in terms of the store. And finally is in terms of the store ambience. Like you were saying, a lot of people actually come to Starbucks to work. It is an occasion, you come to celebrate. It is about an indulgence. So it's about the store ambience. And again, when the store ambience, you need to ensure that you give them a feeling of community. Again, one of the things that we talk about in Starbucks is the store is the third place. You have the first place, which is your home. The second place, which is your office or your education institute, school, college. The third place is a Starbucks store where you can be yourself. You can be comfortable. So for example, we never ask someone to get up and leave, even if people work for 7-8 hours, even if they don't order anything. We give free Wi-Fi. But that is part of the consumer experience. So that is what has made the brand what it is. So when you then try it and the world becomes digital, and I think a lot of it also got accelerated because of COVID, when obviously people could not come to the stores. So you needed to give the same experience in the digital world or through delivery. So I think the first point is how do you make it personalized? And I think that is where technology, AI comes in. So if you go to an app, for example, we try to replicate the partner or the barista behavior in terms of, so it will tell you, hi Aditya, do you want a usual Americano? Yeah, and that is based on analytics, that is based on your purchase pattern, that is based in terms of the season, that is based in terms of what you might have done the same day previous year if we know if you're a regular. So that is an important part of giving that same experience seamlessly in terms of the physical space and in terms of digital. Likewise, if you go to the app is not just about taking your order or executing your order or making a payment, but it is also about how I can interact with you in terms of coffee, how I can interact with you in terms of the community. So there are a lot of stuff in and around in the app where you can learn about coffee, masterclass, and stuff like that. Final point is in terms of loyalty. What loyalty helps you to do is get a one-on-one interaction in terms of personalization, in terms of what I offer you, in terms of reaching out to you, because when you are part of my loyalty system, you are sharing data with me.
Right.
And that helps me to customize and personalize. So that's how I would say we are working towards getting the experience that is there in the physical world into the digital world.
Thank you. So I think driving human connections is very, very relevant. And, sticking on to that topic, you should like to bring in here, Amazon is always known for pushing the envelope in terms of CX, right? I think you were offering the first ever single click to order, right? And then you're giving these live shopping experiences, which has different innovations you built in across the cycle when you shop, right? So how are you, what kind of measures do you take to make sure this is a sustained excellence? It's just not a point in time, but sustained for a period of, the customer life cycle or other customers across products?
Sure. So just taking a step back I know most of you are probably an Amazon customer, and sitting at the table, I heard good stories, bad stories, all kinds of experiences. So happy to hear that. First, somebody is an Amazon customer, and next, they're also Prime customers. So hopefully everybody is one of those. But we were talking about core pillars in our businesses. For us, it's selection, convenience, and value. I think these are the three things that are universally relevant for Amazon across across countries, across markets, everywhere, right? You can't find a single location where somebody would say, I don't want all three of these, or I don't want even one of those, right? I would want everything at speed, a massive selection, and, and a great value, right? So everything we do is based on these principles and work backwards from it. So one of the things that maybe we could talk a little bit more about is how is our journey in India specifically. They're still built on the same principles, but everything that we do in India is built for India, in India, and by India. The factor to that is we continuously, your question about how do we create that culture, is to start with learning. So the first investment we really made when we started in India, it's been 11 years now. And the first one was to really deeply understand. It's very easy to think, hey, we are customers, we live here, we shop on retail, but it's a new experience. There's a lot of trust barrier when you come to e-commerce, right? When we started like 11 years back, there was a lot of concern around data, payment methods. We didn't have UPI at that point in time. We didn't have trusted payments infrastructure at that point. So creating COD was one of those things we started with as a first invention to make sure that COD is not a payment method, but it's the trust factor. People pay in cash, not primarily because they can't use a credit card, but it's a way of saying, I will delay my payment until I really get the product, and then I can give you the cash and divulge with that, right? So even though it's a particular method, there is a inherent reason of why customers behave in a certain pattern, and deeply understanding leads to creating those solutions. So the fundamental thing or the critical component is to create that culture of continuously learning what customers' intent is, what their barriers are, and what their triggers are. And for us, it's even more important because our customers are like, there are 23,000 PIN codes in the country, and we get an order from every PIN code every single day. And that leads us to figure a way, and the preferences, and the country is so different across every 150 kilometers, if you will, right? Languages are different, product preferences are different, cultures are different, obviously languages are different, and our ability to serve them are also very different. The more deeper you go into the country, naturally there is a longer expectation with how long it takes to deliver and so on. But how do you build that experience that reflects that heterogeneity of the country and be able to make that reflected in your service so that heterogeneity is reflected in language? For example, we provide our shopping experience in 8 different languages. Even though the shopping experience is in 8 different languages, we provide our customer support in close to 13 different languages. So when customers have an issue, you would like to talk in the language that you're most comfortable with. You're okay shopping in English most probably, but when you want to complain and really take that emotion out, you probably want to, or express that, you would like to use your. So reflecting those things, the simple things in terms of delivery in an apartment complex that is highly dense is very different from how we deliver in a remote location that takes us like 3 days to deliver, right? Today it's a long period, 3 days to deliver. So you need to build in mechanisms that those 3 days are not perceived as a really long period because the product takes that time, and driving that continuous communication with those customers during that period kind of gives them that comfort and that expectation that is very similar to what a metro customer might be used to, where your product comes on the same day or maybe the very next day. So building heterogeneity is a reality for us, and reflecting that in our experience and the products that we provide is super critical for us, but still everything is still based on those core pillars of selection, convenience, and value.
Thank you. I think running short of time, there's a big counter flashing down here, but then I think the conversation has been very interesting, but I wanted to kind of give one common question, which is I think my favorite question now, and a lot of our clients also asking us, how do we solve this, right? today's world is very digital, very tech. You know what the customer is doing with you at any given point of time, right? So what is the best way to measure customer experience? Right, so probably we can start off with you, Mr. Alok.
See, in our industry, we all use the same CSAT, NPS, RNPS, TNPS. But you're right, that's not the only metrics to look at how customer is. There's a lot of sentiment analysis also which have started now, right? So we get a lot of insight from those. When customer is reacting or interacting on digital platform with us, right? We can do a lot of that now. That also tells you, while the sentiment itself tells you something about the customer, or what is the experience. So I think those analyses also become very deep now. And those tools are available, which can be used to measure how the customer is interacting, right? Second thing is, see, in our industry, it's not only about the customer, right? We also have started looking a lot of how prospects are interacting with us. Right? Because we sometimes, at least in our industry, we lose 9 before we get one customer. Right? I mean, that's the metrics we follow, right? So what are we doing why are we missing them? Is their experience going bad there? So Aditya, I don't have a straight answer to this point at what are the other metrics in our industry, but there are many other elements. And say, for example, if I go deep in the life business, right? One of the biggest metrics for us is how many customers we are able to retain over the life of the policy which was issued. So if a policy was issued 15 years, how many customers stay with us for 15 years? That tells me about the experience they had with the intent of buying and intent of staying with us for 15 years, right? So beyond a point, in our business, there are many elements which we keep on evaluating. Is there any gospel truth I can say today, okay, this is the best metrics? I don't think so. But there are many things which happens at the transaction level, which happens at the relationship level. As I said, it's a pre-acquisition transaction. In our case, we are also an industry which is distributor driven, right? We also look at how the distributor is transferring that experience. So we also do service on our distributor experience itself. See, there is a saying that ultimately a customer experience is given by the employees, right? What is your employee experience, by the way?
Yeah.
Because that is the means to the end, right? So have you been treating your employees in the same manner for them to give that experience? No, we don't. When we talk about NPS instances, that employees are not in the picture.
Correct.
Distributors are not in the picture.
Correct.
Right? So as we look more and more deeper sense in terms of not only the outcome, but the means of the outcomes, there are many things which the industry has evolved and started measuring. And there are different accountabilities and processes. Because when you look at the end-to-end journey, now you'll find out sometimes we are only measuring the output. Right? But we are not looking at the entire cycle. And that's how we do. In our case, that's how we do at each touch point, who's delivering, how is getting delivered, right? And how is the performance, what is the right metrics for that, is what we use at every point to see. And that's where we push the envelope to say, okay, now the end result will be better when it reaches the customer, because we know the process and the means through which it is going is as per what we want it to be. And we keep on learning and refining, like what the Amazon point is, what I was saying, that it's such a heterogeneous, personalized thing. And I think with the technology now, it is much more doable as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's also about leveraging that use case for us and then implementing it is what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll keep it very short in the interest of the time. We all of us use different tools to understand whether the customer is satisfied or what they're doing. But the most important parameter or the metrics that I look at it is that how are you able to retain your customers? In fashion industry, customer loyalty is practically non-existent. However, with the help of technology, we are able to understand, we are able to analyze that how many customers are our repeat customers. And I am very happy to say that in our case, the repeat customer has been over 60% consistently for the past several years. And that is the main metrics that we look at. Personally, I look at that metric, that whether the repeat customer percentage is going up anywhere or going down anywhere, that raises flags.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think similar, Aditya, in terms of what are some of the other measures. As you rightly said, it cannot be just the final NPS or CSAT score. That's the lag measure. You need the lead measures, which is what is important to track. Some of them for us, one of them is our partners. The baristas, who we call actually partners, because they're part of the system. If they are not happy, the end consumer will never be happy. So what is the PES score for the partners, their efficiency? That is something that we measure on a regular basis. Operational efficiency, in terms of at the store, in terms of the time taken, video analytics, that tells us what is going to be the end NPS score. And we now know what are the drivers. So you need to first figure out the drivers and then start measuring them. The other is loyalty. What is the frequency of the gold member? What is the frequency? Are we moving the levels? What is the tender percentage? How many people are using the app to buy or transact in a Starbucks store? Right. Because that shows loyalty, and that's a measure of satisfaction. So these are some of the base ones.
Thanks, Sushant.
So similar to what others have said, so in addition to the standard NPS scores, etc., we also track the employee satisfaction scores and engagement scores, because that is the determinant, like Alok mentioned, that if employee is happy, they will give a good patient service. So employees, and then consultants, the doctors. So we measure doctor satisfaction scores every year, and whatever. So all these things help. But other than the metrics, what we normally do for the quality parameters, one thing which is we have something called a loyalty card, which we introduced some time back. And we found that we were giving it to one person, but the whole family wanted to take. So, so that's an indicator. And the other indicator is we have people who come, who'll say, by the way, I came 20 years ago. And then we have their records from whenever they come, whether they came in IPD, OPD, only for a clinic. We have the records digitally. And that, the people will come back to us with the old information, and that gives them the satisfaction. And the last thing which I want to say is, many of us, our friends, they want to go to the hospital, they call us and say, I'm going to the hospital and please help me because, hospital is a complex place and how will I navigate? My best sense is when my friends tell me, I went to the hospital, I didn't call you, I got the same experience. And I get that all the time. And I think these kind of indicators are
right. Thank you.
Very quickly, I think in their case, they like repeat customers. In my case, I like repeat customers in doctors, but I certainly don't like repeat customers in patients. Yeah? But on a serious note, I think patient-reported outcomes, what we call as hard endpoints, and the clinical outcomes of patients are the only measurement we have. Frankly, there is nothing else in our business.
Thank you.
For us, you could measure everything, right? For example, for a digital business, that's an online business, every click is recorded, and you could really deeply analyze every single behavior that a customer has. So a single metric is not something that we extremely believe in as a representation of the overall customer experience. You need to be a lot more granular. So good to have CSAT and so on, but really have two things. One is have a metric that is a true representation of the customer experience. For example, we were talking about deliveries, right? Delivery accuracy is a huge metric that we look at. But at the same time, you could cause frictions with it. You could cause abuse with it. There's always a counter metric to something like that. So you could do a high level of delivery accuracy by dropping the package right there, or do all kinds of shenanigans as well, right, to meet a metric. But you always need to counter that with the customer-facing metric that it is a good experience. We have more than a couple of million touch points every single day with customers. So being able to monitor that and measure that is super important. The second one is de-average your customer metric, because when you look at, especially at the scale, large scales that you have, if you look at a single metric for the country, for example, or a particular customer cohort, for example, that's not a true representation of what's happening deep inside at a different location, right? So if you had a country metric, our delivery, just sticking to that point, our accuracy could be super high because a lot of deliveries might be in the metro areas. But what does your delivery accuracy in a distant village look like, right? So you need to really de-aggregate to get a real view of it. So those are the two things I would stick with, de-aggregate and really have a true customer-facing metric.
Thank you, Kishore, and thank you everyone for your time. I just thought I would like to summarize my takeaways and just for everyone here as well. 7 points. I like the number 7, so I stuck to 7. right? I think the first one, we started off in terms of modernizing service and linking it with empathy, very important. Driving, customer centricity through partner ecosystems, which is very, very critical in different industries, right? Like bringing in your finance and your dealer ecosystem together. Personalization based on need, desire, and profitability, right? I think those three parameters are key, and kind of linking it to loyalty. Employee experience, driving customer experience in your case, where you mentioned in terms of how your baristas are going to be really helpful. Care and convenience, that's I think my favorite for today. Driving human connections effectively, which will eventually drive business growth. And lastly, various different ways of measurements. You could have leading metrics, you could have partner experience, you could have repeat customers. But I think end of the day, customer experience is also a lot about intangibles, right? And I think that will always stay, right? So thank you everyone, and it was really great moderating this session. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a huge round of applause for this eminent panel and, of course, Mr. Sudhindranath. Thank you, sir, for moderating that session. We'd like to get a group photograph of the panel. Thank you once again, gentlemen, for joining us.